Aquarius, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. In this video, we're going to go over the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun. How do you know where your natal sun is? Your natal chart. I will do correlating dates for those of you who don't have a natal chart, but it's really, really most accurate if you know what degree your natal sun sits on within the zodiac sign of Aquarius. It's 0 through 29. So you let me know. It's very easy to get your natal chart. Just search it online. There are many websites that do it for free. Say free natal chart. You'll need your birth date, which you already have. You need the birth time, the time you were born, and you also need your birth location, all of which is on your birth certificate. And then you put out that information in, and it just spits out this beautiful, comprehensive natal chart within a couple of seconds. It's not complicated at all. So if your natal chart is located, if your natal sun is located between 0 and 9 degrees Aquarius, you are Aquarius 1. Because your natal sun is located within the first decan or group of 10 degrees of Aquarius. If your natal sun is located between 10 and 19 degrees, you are Aquarius 2. And if your natal sun is located between 20 and 29 degrees, you are Aquarius 3. Now, we're going to start really broad, like we always do, of the things that are happening and kind of the biggest things that are happening and how they're impacting everyone. And then we'll focus down into specifics that Aquariuses should be aware of. And then we'll get into the very, very fine, minute details of how things are impacting, what aspects or transits are impacting your natal suns and how. So, what are the big things that are happening this week? There's no transits. So that's pretty cool. But there are some complex and challenging aspects, and we're going to get into those now. I have it all written down, okay? This is for April 26th through May 2nd, 2023, by the way. You can always find it in the title to the video or the thumbnail of the video. It's always written down. Well, Neptune is going to be square to Venus by the 29th, so I think by Saturday or Sunday. That's a complicated energy that is, I think, most profound when your natal sun is involved. Your natal suns aren't directly involved, but Neptune square Venus is challenging because it makes us easy to fool. It makes us easily susceptible. And why is that complicated? Because Mercury is in retrograde, and you know those damn exes are going to be texting. You know what I'm saying? And when Neptune is square to Venus, there's more of a chance you're going to fall for something. But I do think because Jupiter is square to Pluto, changes must be made and things must transform. It's like it's not really giving us an option anymore. It's sort of ruthless in its execution. I consider Jupiter square Pluto kind of like the rotor-rooter of astrology. It's like, I will unclog this clog. It will move. And it's just this insistence that actually can become a clog or a block in and of itself because it's so insistent and so intense. But ultimately, I think there might be some things that we need to go through when it comes to situations from the past, and that's why we're sort of being made Neptune square Venus a little bit more vulnerable and susceptible. I don't believe that this is going to be a long-term mess up. I just think that it's almost like we need a reminder of why we needed to end something, leave it behind, and grow beyond it, if you know what I mean. So those are the major planetary aspects that we really need to be aware of because of Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to be conjunct the Sun on May 1st at 11 degrees Taurus. So Mercury and the Sun are both at 11 degrees Taurus, and they're going to be in perfect conjunction with one another. The first couple of days of this week, Mercury is still conjunct Uranus, which intensifies the retrograde, especially when it comes to high tech, big tech, like internet or advanced technology. A lot of hiccups, mess ups, and confusion. But Mercury conjunct the Sun is quite brilliant And considering it's a Mercury retrograde, it's almost like discovering or finally realizing something that had to flash back to you or had to come back to you. And that's why I think in connection with everything else that's going on, it's like we needed to review some facts in order to be able to put the last puzzle piece together to finish it out and close it up. And I think that ultimately that is what is going to be happening this week. So Aquarius, your ruling dignitaries, modern ruler is Uranus and traditional ruler is Saturn. So we always like to look at what they're up to in particular. Uranus is at 18 degrees Taurus all week long. It is conjunct to Mercury retrograde until Friday the 28th, which means that there could be a lot of surprising kerfuffles when it comes to communication and technology that impact us on the daily, on the day-to-day. Because Mercury's involved and Mercury kind of touches us every day. It's an inner planet. All week long, it is sextile to Mars. So these oddities and this strangeness is almost somehow powering or fueling progress or initiative. Uranus sextile to Mars is just a unique energy that is, I think, quite productive in its execution of its brilliance. So executed brilliance, since Mars is in Cancer and Uranus is in Taurus, this could just be the changing of family traditions, finally being able to change those traditions and people understanding or seeing why, having an opportunity to do it and to make some progress when it comes to sort of something that's putting a new spin on an old concept. Let's put it that way. Saturn is still at 5 degrees Pisces and will be all week long. All week long, it is, or most of the week, it is going to be, says a square to Mars, which is quite frustrating. That means that laws, rules, and regulations might try to trip progress up or try to, it just seems like there's restrictions, and it may be physical restrictions or worries or fears when it's says a square to Mars, when Saturn says a square to Mars. Saturn is going to be sextile to the Sun because the Sun is conjunct the North Node for most of this week. It's also sextile to the North Node and trine to the South Node. So it is all about moving forward. I think this energy with Mars is just another thing that's happening this week that is going to trip us up. This week is not designed for progress when it comes to us actually being able to see measurable forward motion. I think it's designed for ahas and discoveries and clarity. So let's look forward to that and not try to push anything else forward, because anything we try to push will probably end up in disaster. Just letting you know. Chiron is also square to Mars. That's not directly impacting you guys, but I think it'll directly impact everybody, especially with Saturn says a square to Mars. So persecution, restrictions, compromise your movements. It's almost like the universe is making it tough for us to move forward. It doesn't want us to, because there's something we need to look back to, wait around for, something that has to be discovered and will be delivered this week. The context I will figure out later on. Now let's double down and get into your natal suns. All right, Aquarius? Aquarius 1, you guys know that Pluto is sitting at 0 degrees Aquarius right on top of your natal suns. So especially anybody between 0 and 5 degrees Aquarius, this is going to be a pretty intense conjunction with your natal suns, and it will remain that way for the rest of this year. Yes, Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn. It won't retrograde that far back into Capricorn. It doesn't move that fast. And then it'll come back to Aquarius later on this year. So basically it's kind of, Pluto is still settling in for the next year and a half. It's still settling into Aquarius. It's still going to be conjunct your natal suns. What does that mean when Pluto is conjunct your natal sun? A, it's long term. It's going to be with you guys for a while. And if you ask Capricorns, it is metamorphosis. It is life changing. So, but it's you. It's almost like I want to change my persona, who I am, and how I see myself. And so when Pluto visits your sun, it's kind of like the cocoon that bursts into the butterfly. And so expect for the next couple of years that your life is going through dynamic changes, especially with what you want and how you see yourself and how you understand yourself in the world and how people see you. Your world will change quite dynamically. Another long-term, you guys are all long-term aspects except for one. You're a sextile to Neptune, which is all about finding faith and finding hope and finding a peace inside of yourself when it comes to communion with God or your God space. It also is a very creative energy, so you are broadening and expanding through creative energy and your creative prowess right now. Square to Jupiter is what's really impacting you this week. Jupiter moves a little bit faster than the others, so it won't be around for long, but it will last for a couple more weeks, where it is square to your natal suns. Jupiter is square to Pluto, and your natal suns are conjunct to Pluto. This is kind of a ruthless energy that will not accept no for an answer. I think it supports your metamorphosis, but it means that it's even more intense and is requiring bigger and larger and more dynamic expansion than normal. And I think then the others will experience. And by that, I mean, Aquarius 2s and Aquarius 3s. You guys are getting this intensity, and it may be harder for you now, but I think it's going to lead to an even bigger, greater place. So just trust it as you go through it. Pluto is in Aries, so this could have something to do with major changes physically that are happening to you or that you are undergoing with your body, or new things that you are starting and trying and just getting into. You will do with intensity now. Aquarius 2s. We have sextile to Chiron. Your natal suns are sextile to Chiron, which means finding purpose and even some sort of passion or opportunity when it comes to the painful experiences you've been through your life. Now finding ways to apply them positively and progressively and help others as well. So that's a huge transit that's been happening in your lives, and it's been happening for a while, so that will continue to guide you and open doors for you. This week, by the 29th of April, your natal sun is going to be square the current sun. It's going to be square Mercury in retrograde and square to Uranus. This is not easy energy. This means that absolutely there will be more confusion when it comes to communications, people understanding you, seeing things from your perspective. This isn't going to last long, but this could be one hell of a confusing and messed up week. But according to that sextile to Chiron, it's teaching you deeper compassion, and it's helping you understand different perspectives or how other people are treated. So take notes, because this will just add overall, after this week, it'll add to your ability to expand and to grow. The square to the sun and Uranus will intensify. The square to Mercury, retrograde, will actually decrease a little bit as Mercury moves farther into the first decan of Taurus. It will just start to lessen, but this week it's going to be kind of a kerfuffle. I'm just letting you know, especially when it comes to matters of finance, because everything is going on in Taurus after all. Until Thursday the 27th, so really only for the first 2 days of this week, your natal suns are going to be trine to Venus, and then it kind of moves on. But you all this week, you will, what does that mean? So trine to Venus in Gemini means you may have some assistance from friends or from your education, things that you've learned. You'll feel good about yourself. It'll have made you wiser and more capable. Maybe in some ways it'll actually be very helpful. And just in general, with natal sun trine Venus, there's a sense of really understanding what makes you look good, why you look good, feeling good about yourself, and harmony when it comes to relationships or financial matters. So if anything is going cuckoo financially, maybe the first couple of days will help you work that out. But that assistance will be gone by Thursday, so just FYI, because the square to the Sun, Mercury, and Uranus will not be. And in fact, by the 29th, the Sun is going to be square. So in the first couple of days of this week, the Sun is not yet square to your natal suns. But I would say by the 29th, there will be an intensity that happens when it comes to people misunderstanding you, misinterpreting you. Could it hit you in the bank account? It absolutely could. It doesn't mean it's going to be permanent, but it will be quite a challenge to deal with. We also have a sextile to Mars, which can be pretty intense energy, something kind of throwing a chink in your chain and slowing down progress. This means that your anger or temper could get out of control as well. So just please be aware of that, especially when it comes to matters surrounding your family. Then we move on to Aquarius 3s. So Aquarius 3s, if you are at the very cusp of Aquarius and, Pisces. If you are at the very Aquarius Pisces cusp, you, the cuspers, your natal suns are still conjunct to Saturn at this point, because Saturn is at 5 degrees Pisces. What does that mean? Well, I think in conjunction to the fact that your natal suns are also sextile to Jupiter, which is one of the most fortunate things that you can experience, and it will be for the next couple of weeks, people are going to accept you and take you as an authority figure. You will be looked highly upon when it comes to people trusting you to be reliable, or not just reliable, but dependable, not just dependable. Almost like an authority on a subject matter. This sense of people seeing that you know what you're talking about and appreciate. This is a great time to go job hunting. This is a great time to start a new business, but especially to get approval to apply for a mortgage. Or it's actually not a great time to apply for a mortgage because Mercury is in retrograde, but it is a great time to have people actually take you seriously about things. You're also by the 28th, all of you Aquarius 3s will be trine to Venus. So by the 28th, this winning combination of conjunction to Saturn, sextile to Jupiter, and trine to Venus, optimistic, fortunate, beautiful, attractive, charismatic. This is actually a very lucky week for you. So if you have an opportunity that you have your eyes set on, go after it this week, because honestly, you will win. It is really good stuff for you this week. Please let me know how this energy is impacting you in the comments below, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check me out on Born Without Boundaries Tarot, where I do a week ahead tarot card reading for you guys, and I will see you next week.